We're in this fight against wokeness. But what is our weapon? Books. And I have 5 recommendations. All right. So let's talk about books. And these are my 5 recommendations for fighting woke ideology. They're in no particular order. Number 1 is from a friend of the podcast. We've talked to him twice already, none other than Trent Horn. His first book, Persuasive, Prolife. In this book, he taught us many techniques in answering pro-choice arguments. He categorized each arguments to different groups. The main technique is called trot out a toddler.
What?
No, we're not really sacrificing a toddler. That would be counterintuitive to the pro-life cause. Here's a quick example of trot out a toddler. It's divided to 4 A's. First is to agree. Perhaps the pro-choice person is for abortion because sometimes life can be hard and a new child in one's life could make life harder. At some point, you could agree that life is hard and having a child is making things harder. This is when you apply. You could ask that person, what if you apply this same logic to a born child? Then, of course, assuming that the pro-choice person you're talking to is not a psycho, they would say that that's wrong. Then, of course, the next A is ask why. Then you end with aha. Always remember to bring the conversation to the one question that matter. What are the unborn? So that's trot out a toddler. There's a lot of different techniques in Trent Horn's book, Persuasive Pro-Life, and they have a post-Roe v. Wade edition that came out recently. Number 2 is about gender ideology. It's my favorite book on the subject, Male, Female, Other, from Jason Everett. And we also interviewed Jason Everett on this topic. This is from a Catholic perspective, but it doesn't mean other faith backgrounds couldn't learn from it too. There are also other good books on the same subject, like When Harry Became Sally by Dr. Ryan T. Anderson, Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier, Lost in Trans Nation by Dr. Miriam Grossman. The difference of this book from other books on gender ideology is it teaches us what to tell a person with gender dysphoria with charity. It also has answers to the question about intersex, which is a big topic last Paris Olympics. In the Philippines, there's this question, what about the Babayan? This is a common objection by trans activists. They claim that the pre-colonial Philippines is already a spectrum of genders until the Western idea of the gender binary was introduced. Jason Everett's book also has an answer to that question. The next book is something homegrown, so you'll find it here at the background of my studio. The Man You're Meant to Be by my friend Anthony James Perez. Anthony James Perez is my co-host in the Sentinel PH. We're building this channel to be the Daily Wire in the Philippines. Here, AJ argued that in order to fight the woke culture, we need masculinity. And not just masculinity, but spiritual masculinity. One that fosters sacrifice, temperance, love for truth, and responsibility. Hey, if you're getting value from this episode, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and notification bell. You'll get updates in resources, news, and tips in fighting the woke culture, especially here in the Philippines. By the way, a question for you all. What books would you recommend as well? Have you read any of these books that I recommend? Please share your thoughts on the comment section. Book number 4 is Awaken Not Woke by Noel Mary. In my own book, Conservative Ka Ba, which is available on St. Paul's and Shopee.ph, I talk about the brief history of wokeism. Here in this book, Noel expounded on that, from Karl Marx's life story to Frederick Engels and the failure to establish communism in World War I to the Frankfurt School, all the way to the institutions. For me, the highlight of this book is Noel's sixth sense analogy.
I see dead people.
What's the sixth sense analogy? Well, good thing is I interviewed Noel Mering. I'll give you the link to that interview in the description down below. Last but not the least is Them Before Us by Katie Faust. This book I gave to a politician running for office, and by contact to that politician got interested in this book that he ordered one for him as well. And he read this book and he eventually became an advocate, to a point that he also bought 2 books to give to other politicians and personalities. So it's that powerful. In this book, Katie Faust gave arguments why children's rights should come first before adult desires. They have statistics on why no-fault divorce, same-sex marriage, and in vitro fertilization could lead to an undesirable effect in the society. Before reading this book, I don't have any secular arguments on IVF. This book, it equipped me to answer questions on why IVF and surrogacy is wrong. So like I said, I'll give you a link to the Noel Mering interview about the sixth sense analogy. If you're interested, check it out here in this link.